Hepatitis C, often called HCV, is one of the most silent yet dangerous viral infections known to medicine, and the reason it is called a silent killer is because most people who carry the virus may not even realize they are infected for years, sometimes even decades, as the virus slowly attacks the liver, causing inflammation, fibrosis, cirrhosis, and in many cases leading to liver cancer or complete liver failure. Yet the person feels perfectly normal until the damage is severe. And that is why awareness and testing are so important, because early detection changes everything. Now let's understand how this virus works. HCV is transmitted mainly through blood-to-blood contact, which means the highest risk comes from unsafe injections, blood transfusions without proper screening, sharing needles in drug use, or even unsterile medical and dental equipment. In some countries, it spreads through barber's razors or tattoo needles that are not properly disinfected. And yes, sexual transmission is possible but less common compared to HIV. Still, the risk is higher if blood is involved. The mother-to-child transmission during birth can also happen. And once inside the body, the virus heads straight to the liver, where it multiplies silently, damaging cells over time. And the shocking part is that around 70 to 80% of people who get infected do not clear the virus naturally, meaning they develop chronic HCV. And that is where the danger lies, because chronic hepatitis C is a leading cause of cirrhosis and hepatocellular carcinoma, which is the most common type of liver cancer. And for decades this was a terrifying diagnosis, because older treatments like interferon and ribavirin were long, painful, full of side effects like depression, anemia, flu-like symptoms, and only worked in around 50% of patients. But in the last decade, medical science has made one of its greatest breakthroughs: the arrival of DAAs, direct-acting antivirals, which changed everything. These are oral tablets taken once or twice a day, for just 8 to 12 weeks, and they cure more than 95% of patients regardless of the genotype, which means the type or strain of HCV they carry. Drugs like sofosbuvir combined with velpatasvir, or glecaprevir with pibrentasvir, or sofosbuvir with ledipasvir, have revolutionized treatment. They are safe, highly effective, and simple. Gone are the days of injections and year-long therapies. Today, curing HCV is as simple as taking pills for a few weeks, and once cured, the virus is gone forever. Unless you get reinfected, unlike HIV where lifelong treatment is needed, HCV has a real cure, and this is a rare and precious fact in the world of viral diseases. Yet the tragedy is that millions of people around the world are still living with HCV, and don't even know it, because they never got tested. They have no symptoms, and only when the liver is badly scarred do they realize something is wrong. By then, the damage can be irreversible. Cirrhosis leads to fluid in the abdomen, bleeding veins in the esophagus, jaundice, confusion due to toxins in the brain, and finally liver cancer, making transplantation the only option, and yet all of this is preventable if the infection is caught early and treated. So the question is, why are people still dying of a curable disease? The answer is lack of awareness, lack of access to affordable medicines, and stigma. Many countries still have high rates of infection because of unsafe healthcare practices decades ago. For example, unsafe injections in the 80s and 90s led to millions of infections. And today those people are aging with liver damage, and unless they are screened, they won't know they have it. Now let's talk about the signs and symptoms. Most people with HCV are asymptomatic, but some may notice fatigue, joint pain, poor appetite, nausea, abdominal discomfort, or mild jaundice. However, these signs are vague and easily ignored. The real way to know is through a blood test. The anti-HCV antibody test shows if a person has ever been exposed, and the HCV RNA test confirms if the virus is still active. Once diagnosed, staging the disease is important, meaning doctors need to know if the liver is healthy, mildly scarred, or cirrhotic. This can be done through blood markers, imaging like elastography, or sometimes biopsy. And the good news is that treatment works at every stage, though people with cirrhosis may need longer courses or careful monitoring. Now, another important point is that once a person is cured, their liver begins to heal. Fibrosis can regress. The risk of cancer decreases significantly, though not completely. especially if cirrhosis had already developed, which means cured patients still need follow-up, especially with ultrasound every 6 months to catch any cancer early. Prevention is equally important, since there is no vaccine for HCV, unlike hepatitis A and B. The only way to prevent infection is safe practices, using sterile needles, safe blood transfusions, avoiding sharing razors or toothbrushes, safe tattoo and piercing practices and awareness during medical and dental procedures. In healthcare settings, universal precautions are the key. Now let's touch the social aspect. Many people think HCV spreads casually, like through hugs, food, or sharing utensils, which is completely false. This leads to stigma and discrimination against patients, which is unnecessary and harmful. Education is the cure for stigma, just like DAs are the cure for the virus. Now globally, the World Health Organization has set a target to eliminate hepatitis C as a public health threat by 2030, meaning reduce new infections by 90% and deaths by 65%. And this is possible because we have the tools, cheap tests, and short, highly effective cures. Yet millions remain untreated. So scaling up testing and affordable drug access is critical. In some countries, generic versions of DAAs are available at very low cost, making cure accessible to the masses, but in others, high prices remain a barrier and people continue to suffer. Let's also not forget the link between HCV and HIV. Co-infection is common in people who inject drugs, and treatment must be carefully managed, but DAAs are still highly effective in co-infected patients, and curing HCV in them reduces overall health burden. Now, if we look at the future, research continues to find a vaccine, but until then, the message is clear. Test widely, treat early, and cure completely. Hepatitis C is one of the few chronic viral diseases that can be completely eliminated from the human population, but only if people are aware, only if they get tested, and only if they access treatment. So if you or anyone you know is at risk, if they had a blood transfusion before the 1990s, if they have ever injected drugs, if they had unsafe medical or dental procedures, if they have abnormal liver tests with no explanation, get screened for HCV, because the sooner you know, the sooner you can cure it, and once cured, you not only save your liver, you save your life, and you prevent passing it to others. Remember, millions still walk around unaware of the ticking time bomb inside them. Don't let silence be the killer. Speak up, test, treat, cure, and spread awareness that hepatitis C is no longer a life sentence. It is a disease we can beat, a virus we can eliminate, and with modern medicine, a danger that belongs to history rather than the future.